right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We start the State of the Nation now and cross over all the way to around 8:20 there. We're talking about all matters politics and everything in between. Let me introduce my guest one more time. His Excellency Kimani Wamatangi, Governor for Kiambu, is here. Thank you so much for making time. Honorable Samuel Atandi, Member of Parliament for Lego Songa, is also here. Asante sana for making time. Honorable Samson Cherargei, Senator for Nandi, is also here. Asante sana for making time. And for the first time, Honorable Oundo Mudenyo, Member of Parliament for Funyula, is also here with us. Thank you so much for making time. Cherargei, I'll start with you because you're the first one to come here. It's been 9 days since the swearing in of His Excellency, the President William Ruto. What is your assessment of the state of the nation so far?
Thank you, Trevor, for having us today in the morning, and good morning to our viewers and everybody. And before I make a comment, to congratulate my colleagues led by His Excellency, the Governor of Kiambu, Governor Senator Kimani Wamatangi, my brother Atandi, and my brother, Member of Parliament from Funyula, Oundo. So I really want to thank them and wish them well. And I'm happy to see Atandi again. You know, the last time we were here, he was really fighting hard. And I'm happy ODM decided that he should remain. And of course, Governor Senator Kimani Wamatangi made very calculative moves, and he must be very brilliant and genius man. Thank you. I think the state of the nation is good. 9 days. I think the administration in place is really trying its best. One is the performance so far in the 9 days is impressive, and I think Kenyans are happy so far. Because one, the confirmation or an appointment of 6 judges has been done, so take. And number 2 is on the issue of financial autonomy to IG, has been given account, financial autonomy of his police, National Police Service, so take. Number 3, the provision of fertilizers, and I just walked in when you're covering, so take. And many other issues that the government of the day has done. Even the swearing in of members of parliament, election of speakers in both houses. So everything is running as scheduled. Although, of course, we have to appreciate that the government of the day did inherit, the Ruto's administration did inherit a dilapidated economy. And we hope things will get better and improve to where President Mwai Kibaki left. I think another important aspect is that President William Ruto has put the map, the Republic of Kenya, when he did his first international or ongoing international engagement, from attending Queen's burial in London, and yesterday speaking powerfully, eloquently, and wittily to the world at United Generals Assembly, UNGA 77th, at New York. And I think he bared it all for what is the expectation of the country, what is the expectation of Africa, and I think all those issues that he raised, from climate change and the issues of reforms within the United Nations Security Council, and many other issues. And by the way, bottom-up and hustle is now in international arena. So you can be sure many people would really want to know what is bottom-up, economic model, and also the hustle that matters. So the state of the nation generally looks good, and I want to still appeal to Kenyans that this is the 9th day. The government is yet to appoint cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries, and we hope in the next few weeks those people should be in office, so that the country can start moving and the future. But one important thing before I forget, so that I sit ground for my colleagues, is that he mentioned the issue of debt relief, especially after the COVID-stricken countries and the challenges that are there. So I really, the state of the nation looks good. Let us be focused, remain determined. And I think in fullness of time, the country will be back on the right tracks. All right.
Atandi, 9 days in, Cherargei says the state of the nation is impressive. Are we headed in the right direction? Because one of the first things that went out the door is the subsidies. And now everybody's complaining about the rising cost of living.
Thank you very much, Trevor, for having us. let me also join my friend, Senator Cherargei, in congratulating all of us, especially the governor of Kiambu.
Thank you.
It is true that he is very calculative. And in the last minute, he moved from being a presidential candidate to immediately to the governor of Kiambu. Yes. I also like to congratulate Cherargei. He was supposed to be the governor, but because he's a coward, he's managed to live long.
I'm calculating.
And of course, Dr. Oundo Mudenyo, my colleague, my neighbor from Funyula. Now, Trevor, every election ushers in hope or despair. If you look at the last 4 elections that have happened in this country, especially when we start with the one, the Kibaki election, there was hope, there was excitement, there was happiness, and that happiness, positive happiness, is what begins to drive the economy upwards. Because when Kenyans are happy and excited about the outcome of an election, yeah, that excitement pushes Kenyans to work harder for their economy. Now, what we are seeing now is despair, is pain, is sadness. And you can see that when you go to the pump, the fuel pump, you see pain. You meet pain, actually. When you go to the supermarket, the price of unga is going up. That is another sad pain. Now, so there's pain everywhere, you know. So I think, what I've seen, if you look at the reactions, the knee-jerk reactions, which this government is trying to put in place, tells you clearly that this is a government that was not prepared to take power. Actually, I don't even think they were aware that they were going to win. Possibly, their win was mechanized, you know. So, what I can observe, Trevor, is that we have a government that does not know what it's supposed to do. Because clearly, you know, when they were campaigning, they made certain promises. They said, you know, the cost of fuel is high, we will reduce it, you know. In fact, there's even a caption where the president was saying that, look, these people are fighting me instead of lowering the cost of fuel. So, for me, in a nutshell, we are worse than before elections. And this is really a tragedy, because the election is supposed to usher in hope, yeah, for a better Kenya. What we are seeing is despair, we are seeing pain, and I think we need to urge the government to up its game and realize that now they are in power, they are not in opposition. We are not in the context of, you know, blame games. We cannot have a government that has taken over instruments of power, and immediately they begin blame games. You know, can you imagine the government is still blaming President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has now handed over power to them? So we need to see a serious government, and this is going to, and if they do not move very fast and swiftly, yeah, within the next 1 month, they will have lost it, and Kenyans will need to start fighting for a better regime. Okay. Thank you.
Governor, what are your thoughts? Are we headed in the right direction? Some say 9 days is a bit too early to tell, but there are some executive moves that have already been made. For example, the fuel subsidy has been removed, the unga subsidy has been removed, prices are now skyrocketing.
Yeah. Trevor, let me first greet you. Good morning.
Good morning, Governor.
It's been a long time.
Yes.
And we thank God that we are back here. And the country is back to operation. I think first, let's do housekeeping. Housekeeping meaning that I think in the future, we are going to have to rewrite our marriage contract with you.
What has happened now?
Because when it gets to election time, yeah, you no longer pick our phones. You don't answer our calls. When the elections are over,
start calling.
You know,
those were interesting.
If you have a wife that you kick out during campaigns and during elections,
yeah, but not in plenty.
You know, and then, you know, and then you only allow her back home. And in fact, you know, you charge your wife to come home. Because that's what you are doing those days. Anyway, we rewrite that contract, you know, for the coming year. Yeah. But we want to thank you. You did a good job, and thank God that we are where we are. You did what you had to do anyway. And that's okay. So much for that. Let me congratulate my colleagues too. I want to congratulate my brother, Senator Cherargei. Getting re-elected is not a main feat, and that's what people don't understand. If you look at the percentage of the number of people who've come back to the House of Parliament, I was speaking to my members of County Assembly 2 days ago, and out of 92 members of my County Assembly, just about 9 managed to come back.
Out of 92?
Out of 92. So you can see the percentage. In the National Assembly, if you look at it, in the Senate, same thing, same story. And so when you see a member of parliament being re-elected back, then that means that person does a little more than other people ordinarily. And so that's why I congratulate Cherargei and my brother Atandi.
Yeah.
Because Atandi, Cherargei kept on whipping Atandi and doubting whether he was ever going to come back and whether he had the ear of the big man.
I think at some point you didn't have.
I always had it.
But clearly it shows that he was strategic in what he was doing. So I want to congratulate him in coming back. Only I wish my brother Atandi, because you are you're a smart man who knows how to do his things. If it were possible, you would move from that side and come to the side where thoughts are normally put into real action, and would make this country a better place. But for the time being, I know you're still calculating. When you see what this government is going to do, then I'm sure you'll think twice. Where we are, Trevor, we are at a very interesting point in this country, because we are at a point whereby this country is expecting that most of the promises that we made as a coalition, Kenya Kwanza coalition, and we want to thank the people of Kenya for giving us this opportunity to serve this country. And we also understand that people expect that there will be the change we promised, that all those things that we said will be done. And I want to say, Trevor, that with the same breath, we request Kenyans to, as we gear up to do the right things, there is still, let me use the same term, housekeeping that's going to be done. There are things that you have to correct. See, if you look at that question of the subsidies, it speaks to one thing, that yes, you could take some actions intending to please people. For example, you see those subsidies, the truth is that they are not sustainable economically. Because what you're doing is you have a sector that is disorganized, that doesn't give people value, and then you dip your hand into the till, pull out some money to throw in to address the temporary problem and still leave the problem. And then you go and again, and that cannot continue. You remember during the elections when the government gave the unga subsidy, then the government that was there, in between, even before the elections were over, they actually seized that subsidy. They said they've withdrawn it. Because it is not sustainable. And what you need to do is to address the fundamentals of that sector and see why are we having high prices that do not let our people afford fuel and afford food and unga. This is where we are right now as a coalition, and trying to reset all the basic fundamentals that will ensure that farming is not only well subsidized, farmers well equipped, well trained, it is planned well, such that then you have that product all the way to the end. It is sustainable for the farmer, it is profitable, and so they can be able to sell at a price that's reasonable. And on the other hand, addressing also the issues of the person who will buy that packet of unga at the end of the day, and ensure that you have also building the foundation. When we were talking about the hustler movement and how you are going to have that bottom-up approach that focuses on those people. And remember that the bulk of our electorate are the ones who it matters how much that packet of unga costs. There are some people who are blessed, probably, I don't know whether in that category, Trevor.
I am not.
But I would tell you, people like Atandi are. in that category, whereby he may not even know the price of unga right now. Because, you know, for him, he'll just send somebody and say, ulete unga packet tano. Yeah. But to the common person, they'll have to cough that 1 shilling, and so it matters to them. But those are the majority, and that's what we're saying. When we're talking about dealing with those who are at the bottom and then elevating them, I believe those fundamentals are in place now. We are going to have the 50 billion hustlers revolving fund. Yeah. We're going to put in all the other fundamentals of investing where it matters to the people. And then once you improve the buying power of those people by making it easy, better for them to do what they do every day, yeah, then you're not going to have all these problems. So what you're experiencing now, and what Atandi was intending to speak about, I believe, in good faith, is during this short period of reset. Those things are going to be there. But in the long term, we've started with goodwill, we've started with good plans, we have got a good team, we've got good intentions, we mean business. And I believe that consistently, with consultations, we are going to get things right. We are not fighting anyone either, and I want to send Atandi to take this message home, yeah, to the other side. We are not interested in confrontation or fights or whatever, because I was seeing in one of the headlines that they were calling a retreat and saying whatever, and all these grandstanding and whatever. You see, like what's happening in the County Assembly of Nairobi, where people are, instead of planning to go to work as a team, you are planning to start a fight whereby you even make business impossible. What we are saying at the national level, if you are calling a retreat, ladies and gentlemen, on the Azimio side, call a retreat to ask, how are we going now, after the results are out, to join the winners and together build a country, add value where you can add, yeah, and make it possible for these 5 years for Kenyans to live a better life. Okay. Competition will come again in 2027, and but this time it has been decided twice, yeah, by the people and by the law courts, okay, you know, by our judiciary, yeah, that indeed Kenyans made a decision on, yeah, who won the elections. All right.
Mudenyo, what is your assessment so far? Because this pain Umatangi is saying is a short period of reset. Should they have sustained the subsidies in the interim as we figured out what else to be done to ease?
Thank you, Trevor, and I'm happy to be on this show for the first time. And let me also take this opportunity to congratulate my colleagues for re-election and election. Probably we are in a very funny situation. This is one change of regime that has not brought any excitement at all in the country. There's a palatable feeling of resignation. Let it be. It has happened, let it be. And like that, when Mwai Kibaki came to the presidency, when there was joy and excitement all over the country, for the first time, the change of regime has been dull, unexcited, and generally, it has just gone that way. On the issue of the subsidy, to some extent, I agree. Subsidies are not sustainable. From an economic point of view, subsidies are not sustainable. But probably in view of the hard economic times, if indeed had been asked, they should have been allowed them to stand for the next few weeks or few months, so that the new government reorganizes itself, finds its footing, and generally knows how to proceed. The high prices of fuel has really dampened the spirits of the people of Kenya. It has increased the cost of living, and essentially for all the years to come, the Ruto presidency will be associated with the immediate increase in the cost of living. And that indeed does not send a very good image, does not build confidence. And more so, 9 days down the line, nothing has happened, so to speak. There has been no appointment to any executive position, and all the president has done was to attend a funeral and leave a sick person in the home. It's to go and bask international limelight and leave sick people in the villages and the homes. That's why for us where we sit, it might be important. There must be some accelerated activities and actions that it truly shows that this regime was actually prepared to lead this country. They were not caught by surprise when they were announced winners, because this has never happened. All over the world, immediately after elections, immediately a leader is elected or declared to be the winner, they move with the speed to put structures into place to enable them move so that they build on the momentum of their win. There was no win. It was, we say, computer generated, so to speak, and that's why you can see there wasn't any excitement. Even on the day when the Supreme Court decided, if you walked around Nairobi, people did not seem even excited at all. They were just going about their business. Even when you would call villages where we come from, there was a sense of hopelessness. The few scattered places where people were celebrating, they would hide themselves in their houses to celebrate. What they were celebrating, nobody knows up to now. And you see, finally, when the fuel price went up, they became laughing stock, and they no longer want to be associated with the so-called hustler nation because it has begun on a false hope.
Okay.
That's what I can say for now.
Yes, Atan, do you want to jump in again?
Trevor,
Take a break.
Trevor, I love the submissions by my colleagues in government,
Yeah.
in the executive. But Trevor, when voters go for elections, there are always options. Like in this case, there's the option of Azimio and the option of the Kenya Kwanza. And there's no voter who goes into an election booth to vote for stories. You know, you go and vote and then you're given stories that, look, you will continue to suffer because 1, 2, 3 happened. This is really what we are saying. We are saying no to. And we are saying that this kind of conjecture is what we are saying, what we are calling non-preparedness by my colleagues here in government. Because, Trevor, even if you look at this, the so-called subsidies in the fertilizer subsidies, does it make sense that there's fertilizer subsidy and the cost of fuel remains high? Because once you have the fertilizer, you still need fuel, you know, to do the farming. So I think we are talking about people really do not know what they are talking about. But what I was saying, Trevor, and what I have observed is that this fertilizer subsidy is basically the cartels within the Kenya Kwanza wing. You know, they look for an opportunity to begin to eat, because when you look at the subsidies in the oil sector, most of my colleagues in the Kenya Kwanza team, they always accuse President Uhuru that most of his supporters are in that sector, and according to them, the subsidies were benefiting a few people in the oil sector. Now they have also decided to subsidize a sector where they think the cartels within their wing are found, and this fertilizer subsidy has nothing to do with lowering the cost of production, because the cost of production is lowered when you lower the cost of fuel, because they go together. That is one. Secondly, Governor Wamatangi is saying that they are not ready to fight anyone. They are going to run the government with everybody. But Trevor, yesterday you saw us in the media accusing IEBC and the government of beginning to profile senior government officers who are thought to have been on the side of Azimio. And Trevor, this thing is happening. There's mob lynching in social media. There are meetings that are taking place to ensure that certain senior civil servants are hounded out of office. And these are things that we have to speak about. And we want to urge our colleagues in government that can they speak what they are doing? Can they be plain and blank and tell us that this is a government that is hell-bent on crucifixion? This government wants to crucify Kenyans. In fact, they want to start beginning to murder Kenyans. I warned Cherargei last time when we were here that when there's in the unlikely event that they win power, one of the things they would do was witch hunt and murder, you know. And I think this is what they are doing. Cherargei, you guys, please give Kenyans a break, because there's so much that Kenyans expect from you to do, other than beginning to profile and to hound innocent civil servants out of office on the pretext that they were supporting Azimio presidential candidate.
Okay, those are very strong terms that we have to withdraw some of them. They're using terms like murder and all that. But I'll give Cherargei a chance to respond, and Wamatangi as well. Cherargei.
Anyway, I wouldn't want to engage in sideshows because, one, our brothers in Azimio, One Kenya lands are confusing Kenyans. At one instance, they want subsidies to be there. At the other instance, they don't want. And when I just walked in, you were covering a provision of fertilizer in Kisii County, and you could see people have access to the fertilizer because of the short rains. So we must, and even the reason we have drought and famine across the country, I'm told around 4.1 million Kenyans, is because of we are not food secure. And you heard the president saying yesterday in United Generals Assembly address to the wall. And therefore, to get the country moving, to get people, is we must ensure we subsidize fertilizer, we ensure we get quality seeds, so that when we are food secure, the inflation that goes up, Trevor, the high cost of living that goes up is because the food is expensive. And we want to ensure Kenyans. On the issue of, I've had my brothers casting serious aspersions on the win. I don't know why they are complaining, yet they had the so-called deep state and the system. The sitting president was supporting them. You have heard they were spending 4 million per day in State House meetings, facilitating, and that is the Controller of Budget report, and it was reported even by media, facilitating Azimio campaigns. I don't know why. As when we went for election, we spoke to the hearts and the minds of Kenyans, we sold our agenda, and for heaven's sake, Trevor, it is only 9 days. Even when you have pregnancy, it does not happen within 24 hours. It takes a full term of 9 months, then you can get a child. So I think the Azimio, although their DNA and naturally are wired to oppose, which is good, and I can see they are starting their job with energy, and I want to see this energy on the floor of the House. I hope they will not bring a culture where they work out. The role of opposition is they must oversight, they must stay in the House, and they must oversight there. So I am happy with the enthusiasm for my brother Tandi going into the future. On the issue of IEBC, and I wouldn't want to dwell on that, those are issues of corporate governance. You can't link government to what is happening in IEBC. IEBC is an independent body, just like Judicial Service Commission, just like Parliamentary Service Commission. If IEBC was part of Public Service Commission, I would have agreed. But on this basis, what the reforms and disciplinary actions that are being taken within IEBC, based on the ruling of the Supreme Court, based on how our independent institutions are run, then it shows, by the way, Trevor, that Azimio wanted to rig this election, and they had their people. Why are they are even wailing more than the bereaved. So Atandi should be honest with the nation that the reason they are protesting any decision that is being made by IEBC in terms of putting the House in order, in terms of taking disciplinary action, because we can't, even Royal Media Services, where we are, if they want to instigate any form of disciplinary action, including you, Trevor, I'm not saying they should, but if they want, how is it our business as a parliament to come and question the management of Royal Media Services? They can carry within the confines of the law, so long as they don't violate the natural principles of justice. Yeah. So I want to tell my colleagues that that they are doing very well. So far today in the show, I can see my brother is picking up very well. My good brother here, Mheshimiwa Undo, which is impressive. My brother Atandi is doing extremely well. And I know wherever Baba is, he must be happy that the gentlemen that I put in parliament are doing. But I hope they will not just be saying flowery and statements, just sweeping statements on the national media platform. But I would want to see them taking task to take this issue to Parliament, and do proper oversight. But these casting aspersions and saying the government has done that, I think it should stop. And by the way, to correct, because you've made a strong word, there is no intention of this government to murder anybody. In fact, I want to invite, and you know, the current DCI is a friend of Azimio. I want to invite, and even the current IG, the acting IG Gabo, is a friend of Azimio. Why doesn't he take those allegations and say the government wants to murder so and so? Those are strong statements, and by the way, Atandi is casting aspersions, and he must withdraw. And be struck out of the answered of, not the answered, the recordings of this media house, because we can't allow that. But anyway, Trevor, if there are any issues that he wants to report to police, I think he can just walk across here Kilimani after the show. I can even give him a car free ride. I can even give a car free ride for him to report here in Kilimani, so that we can investigate.
Ometangi?
Yes, I think...
on this issue of IEBC especially.
Trevor, 3 quick things on as I come to that matter on IEBC. first, I think it is good to give credit where it's due. We need to give Atandi some credit because I think he's doing a good job of inducting Oundo, into this
opposition.
into this opposition thing.
Oundo is stalwart.
Only the induction
Yes.
is missing some key principles, because some of those allegations, I've had Atandi started the queue by saying that that the win of the Kenya Kwanza team was not genuine, and then Oundo took it further by saying it was computer generated. I would like to caution the gentleman, because now we are past that. We've had a Supreme Court judgment on it. It is important that start respecting also the fact that your electorate went to the ballot, and they cast their ballots, and not unless you are saying that even those people who voted for you, because you had probably more than 6 million votes on your side, where the computers also voted for you on that side. So let's learn now to be magnanimous as we are in victory, and also, be gracious yourselves once you invited that we build the country. So I believe let's not go the way we did in 2017. You remember all these mudslinging, lies and all those kind of things. Let's agree now to build the country. We are past that. Secondly, it's on this issue of witch hunt of civil servants. I think it is important also for us to say to civil servants, it should be an important learning lesson for our civil servants in future. I would want to say to them without blinking that be smarter now. When you are engaged by any senior civil servants, political appointees, or even the top level of the country, don't jump neck deep into politics of the day, because that's not what the civil service is about. We can't lie, Trevor, that there are some civil servants who got overexcited and they agreed and allowed themselves to be compromised. Some of the things that you saw happening at that time were not things that should have been happening, and many people suffered. And some of those things, it's only that we are civil enough, you don't even want to come talk about them. Even ourselves, we suffered a lot, including major financial losses. You had accounts of people blocked. You are a businessman and you're running legitimate contracts. You find people are instructed not to pay you, and there are letters written to the banks by people by KRA, and you find a lot of things happening, and that was really very, very, very bad. I think it is important that we say to civil servants, in the future, if you want to retain your job, if you want us to have a good country, please desist. Do your work professionally. Then we'll have a better country. And then lastly is on this question of, you've said, on the subsidies. And I think Atandi is smarter. Even where you come from, there is substantial farming. And you know what happens. Rains, you cannot tell the rains come the day after tomorrow. Yeah, it's the short rain season. Our farmers are ready to plant. The reason why we were buying a packet of unga at 200 plus then is because there was a shortage. Our farmers were not supported to plant and have enough harvest for our people to be food secure. And so when the short rains knocked and they started falling, something had to be done immediately. Yeah. But I want to confirm that it is not in the plan of our government to run our economy and sustain the livelihoods of our people by giving subsidies. We want to empower. We want to empower the population so that people can get to work and earn fairly and equally, so that they're able to put food on their table without having to go to anyone to beg for a subsidy or to be helped. This is what we are taking as the core of our looking forward and how we manage the economy of this country. Yes. So I don't think we need to add much more to that. On the IEBC, I believe that, as we said earlier, a section of the IEBC did a professional job, you know, from the chairperson to the two officials. And I want to confirm in this sitting this morning, Trevor, that I was personally in Bomas during that infamous incident. I was sitting there. And after all that happened, I took myself and I walked up to that podium, and I even went into where the